Have you ever felt that familiar tug in your gut, a mix of excitement and terror when faced with something new? That, my friends, is the whisper of the unknown, the call to step outside your comfort zone. We all have one, a cozy little bubble where everything feels safe and familiar. But what happens when we stay there too long? Do we become stagnant, our potential withering like a houseplant starved of sunlight? What if the most incredible chapters of your life haven't been written yet because you're too afraid to turn the page? Imagine this, standing at the edge of a metaphorical cliff, the wind whipping around you, the ground a dizzying distance below. That's what it feels like to take a leap of faith, to embrace the unknown even when you don't feel ready. It's terrifying, exhilarating, and utterly transformative. But why do we resist it so much? Is it the fear of failure, the dread of judgment that keeps us rooted in place? Here's the truth. Scars tell stories, stories of resilience, courage, and lessons learned. They are badges of honor earned through daring to leap. Think about a time you did something that scared you, something you weren't sure you could handle. Remember the surge of pride, the rush of accomplishment when you not only survived but thrived? That's the magic that happens when we venture beyond the edge of our comfort zones. We discover hidden strengths, unlock dormant potential, and realize we are capable of so much more than we ever imagined. It's in those moments of uncertainty, of what was I thinking, that we truly grow, evolve, and become the best versions of ourselves. So, are you ready to take the leap? Sarah stared up at the rock face, its granite surface gleaming under the midday sun. She hadn't planned on this. A seasoned hiker, yes, but rock climbing? That was new, terrifying, and completely unplanned. Her friend, a climbing enthusiast, had convinced her to tag along on a whim. Now, harnessed in and staring up at the intimidating wall, Sarah felt a wave of panic wash over her. Her palms were already sweating. "What am I doing?" she muttered under her breath, her voice barely audible above the wind whistling through the canyon. Her friend, sensing her hesitation, offered a reassuring grin. "It's all right to be scared," she said, her voice calm and steady. "It means you're about to do something amazing." With a deep breath, Sarah nodded, clinging to her friend's words like a lifeline. Her friend pointed to a series of handholds guiding her through the initial ascent. Each movement felt awkward, her muscles screaming in protest. Doubt gnawed at her. Just as she was about to call it quits, she remembered why she'd agreed to come in the first place, to prove to herself that she was capable of more than she thought. Mark nervously adjusted his tie, his reflection staring back at him from the backstage mirror. He could hear the muffled murmur of the audience beyond the curtain, their anticipation palpable. A year ago, the thought of singing in front of a crowd would have sent him running for the hills. Yet here he was, moments away from taking the stage with the community choir. Music had always been his solace, a private sanctuary where he could pour out his emotions. Sharing that with strangers? Unthinkable. But then, life had a way of shaking things up. A layoff, a period of soul-searching, and a chance encounter with the choir director had led him to this very moment. The first rehearsal was excruciating. Surrounded by seasoned singers, Mark felt like an imposter, his voice a shaky whisper. He almost quit, convinced he wasn't good enough. But something kept him coming back. The camaraderie, the shared love of music, and the gentle encouragement of the choir director. Week after week, Mark found his voice growing stronger, his confidence building with each note. The fear didn't disappear entirely, but it no longer held him captive. It transformed into a surge of adrenaline, pushing him to be better, to blend his voice with others in perfect harmony. The air hung heavy with the scent of acrylics and turpentine, a stark contrast to the sterile smell of the office building Emily had left behind. For years, she'd been living a double life, a by-the-book accountant by day, a frustrated artist by night. Her canvases, stacked against the wall of her tiny apartment, were a testament to her stifled dreams. She'd always loved art, the way colors danced on canvas, the way a single brushstroke could convey a world of emotions. But fear, that insidious beast, had whispered doubts in her ear. "You're not good enough," it hissed. "You'll never make it as an artist." So she'd played it safe, choosing practicality over passion. Then came the layoff. Initially devastating, it soon morphed into an unexpected opportunity. Why is it that venturing into the unknown, even when it's something we deeply desire, can feel so much like navigating a minefield of anxiety? The answer, my friends, lies in the fascinating world of neuroscience. Our brains, those incredible complex organs, are wired for survival. And for our ancestors, survival often meant sticking to what they knew, avoiding anything that could pose a threat. Fast forward to today, and while most of us aren't facing down saber-toothed tigers, our brains still react to the unfamiliar with a surge of cortisol, the stress hormone. This is the infamous fight-or-flight response kicking in, telling us to either confront the danger or run for the hills. But here's the catch. Our modern-day dangers are often opportunities disguised as challenges. That new job you're hesitant to apply for? Your brain might interpret it as a potential threat to your comfortable routine. The thought of sharing your creative work with the world? Cue the fear of judgment and rejection. But what if, instead of viewing these experiences through the lens of fear, we looked at them as chances for growth and expansion? Section 2. Rewiring the fear response. So how do we go about rewiring our brains to embrace the unknown instead of shying away from it? It starts with understanding that fear, while uncomfortable, is not the enemy. In fact, it can be a powerful indicator that we're on the verge of something truly extraordinary. Think of fear as a compass, pointing you towards areas where you have the potential for the most significant growth. Instead of trying to silence that inner voice of fear, acknowledge it. Thank you for trying to protect me, you might say, but I've got this. And then, take a step forward, even if it's just a tiny one. Remember Sarah, our hesitant rock climber? She didn't magically overcome her fear. She felt it, acknowledged it, and then chose to climb anyway. And in doing so, she not only conquered the rock face, but also expanded her own sense of what she was capable of. Here's another powerful tool for rewiring the fear response. Focus on the positive. Section 3. From comfort zone to courage zone. Let's be real, stepping outside our comfort zones is rarely comfortable. It's going to feel awkward, messy, and downright terrifying at times. But what if instead of viewing our comfort zones as static, unchanging spaces, we saw them as expandable, like muscle that grows stronger with each challenge we overcome? Imagine your comfort zone as a cozy little circle. Everything inside that circle feels safe, familiar, and easy. But just outside of that circle lies a world of possibilities, a realm where growth, learning, and adventure reside. This is your courage zone, a place where you're stretching, growing, and becoming the best version of yourself. The more you venture into your courage zone, the more your comfort zone expands. What once felt terrifying becomes exhilarating. What was once impossible becomes your new normal. And as you continue to push your boundaries, you'll discover that your capacity for courage, resilience, and growth is limitless. Section 1. The Fear Taming Toolkit. Okay, so we've talked about the science behind fear and the importance of stepping outside our comfort zones. But let's get practical, shall we? What are some tangible tools we can use to tame those inner gremlins and embrace the unknown with a bit more grace and a lot less freaking out? Think of it as assembling your very own fear-taming toolkit. First up, let's talk about the power of breath. You know that feeling when you're about to do something nerve-wracking and your heart starts racing like a caffeinated squirrel? That's your cue to breathe. Deeply. Inhale slowly, filling your lungs with air, hold it for a beat, and then exhale slowly. Repeat as needed. It sounds almost too simple to be effective, but trust me, deep breathing works wonders to calm your nervous system and bring you back to the present moment. Now let's talk about the approach. When it comes to stepping outside our comfort zones, there's no one-size-fits-all method. Some of us are all about taking giant leaps, diving headfirst into the unknown. Others prefer a more gradual approach, dipping their toes into the water before taking the plunge. The good news is, both approaches are valid. What matters most is finding what works best for you. If the thought of making a radical change sends you into a tailspin, start small. Break down your larger goal into smaller, more manageable steps. Want to write a book but feel intimidated by the sheer scope of it? Start by committing to writing for just 15 minutes a day. Dream of traveling the world but fear keeps holding you back? Begin by researching destinations and planning a short trip. Here's a secret weapon in the quest to conquer fear and embrace the unknown. Surround yourself with people who lift you. You know the ones, those magical humans who believe in you, even when you doubt yourself. They're your cheerleaders, your confidants, your partners in crime when it comes to stepping outside your comfort zone. Having a supportive tribe in your corner can make all the difference when those inevitable doubts and fears start to creep in. They'll remind you of your strengths, celebrate your wins, no matter how small, and offer a gentle nudge when you need it most. Think about the people in your life who make you feel seen, heard, and valued. These are the folks you want in your corner when you're venturing into uncharted territory. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but Brene, I'm not sure I have those kinds of people in my life. And to that, I say, it's never too late to build your tribe. Join a club or group that aligns with your interests, volunteer for a cause you care about, or simply make an effort to connect with people who inspire you. All right, my friends, it's time to stop being spectators in our own lives and step into the arena. We've explored the what and the why of stepping outside our comfort zones. Now let's tackle the how. Consider this your official permission slip to get uncomfortable, to embrace the unknown, and to give yourself permission to stumble, rise, and try again. Here's your first dare. Do something that scares you, something you've been putting off because of fear, self-doubt, or that pesky voice whispering you're not ready. It doesn't have to be anything monumental. Remember, we're aiming for progress, not perfection. Start with something that feels just a little bit out of reach. Always wanted to learn a new language but convinced yourself you're too old or not cut out for it. Download a language learning app and commit to just 15 minutes a day. Dream of sharing your writing, photography, or dance moves with the world but fear judgment from others. Share your work with a trusted friend or join an online community of fellow creatives. The key is to take action, even if it's just a small step. Remember, courage is like a muscle. It gets stronger with use. And the more you flex that courage muscle, the easier it becomes to face bigger and bolder challenges. We've all been there, brimming with good intentions, only to find ourselves stuck in a rut of procrastination and excuses. We tell ourselves, I'll start tomorrow, or I need to wait for the perfect time. But here's the thing, there's no such thing as the perfect time. Life is messy, unpredictable, and rarely unfolds according to our carefully crafted plans. So, how do we bridge the gap between intention and action? One word, commitment. Write down your goal, share it with a friend who can hold you accountable, or better yet, find a buddy who's also looking to step outside their comfort zone and cheer each other on. Remember Mark, our hesitant choir singer? He didn't wake up one day suddenly feeling brave enough to sing in front of a crowd. He made a commitment, showed up for rehearsals, and gradually built his confidence over time. Here's another powerful tool. Break down your goal into smaller, actionable steps. Want to run a marathon but can barely make it around the block without gasping for air? Start with a Couch to 5K program and gradually increase your mileage each week. Dream of writing a novel but feel overwhelmed by the thought of filling hundreds of pages? Set a daily word count goal, even if it's just 500 words a day. Remember, progress, no matter how small, is still progress. Now here's a crucial piece of advice as you embark on this journey of embracing the unknown. Be kind to yourself. You will stumble. You will make mistakes. You might even face plant spectacularly in front of an audience. We've all been there. But instead of letting those stumbles derail you, view them as opportunities for learning and growth. Remember Emily, our accountant turned artist? She didn't magically transform into a master painter overnight. She embraced the learning process, allowed herself to make mistakes, and celebrated each small victory along the way. So, as you step outside your comfort zone, embrace the imperfections. Give yourself permission to experiment, to try new things, and to fail gloriously. And when you do stumble, because you will, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and remember that every stumble is simply a stepping stone on the path to growth and resilience. Remember, the goal isn't to become fearless. That's unrealistic. The goal is to develop a healthy relationship with fear, to acknowledge it without letting it hold us back from living our most authentic and fulfilling lives. So go forth, my friends, and dare to leap. As we've journeyed together, exploring the exhilarating and sometimes terrifying territory outside our comfort zones, one resounding truth emerges. Growth rarely occurs within the confines of the familiar. It's in those moments when we dare to leap, to embrace the unknown with open arms and a heart full of both trepidation and excitement, that we truly discover who we are capable of becoming. Think back to Sarah, our hesitant climber, who found her footing on that intimidating rock face, her fear transforming into exhilaration as she ascended. Remember Mark, our once timid choir singer, who discovered the power of his own voice as he blended in harmony with others, his initial stage fright giving way to pure joy. And let's not forget Emily, our accountant-turned-artist who traded spreadsheets for canvases, her stifled dreams finding new life in vibrant colors and bold brushstrokes. These are not just stories, they are testaments to the transformative power of embracing the unknown, of pushing past our self-imposed limitations to discover the boundless potential that resides within each of us. Their leaps of faith, their daring ventures into uncharted territory, have left an indelible mark, not just on their own lives, but on the lives of those around them. The beauty of embracing the unknown is that it opens up a world of possibilities, a tapestry of unwritten chapters waiting to be filled with our unique blend of courage, creativity, and resilience. It's a reminder that life's most incredible adventures rarely unfold according to plan, and that the greatest rewards often lie just beyond the edge of our comfort zones. So I ask you, dear reader, what unwritten chapters are waiting to be brought to life in your own story? What dreams have you tucked away? What passions have you silenced? What adventures have you put on hold because fear whispered not yet or not you? The time for hesitation is over. The world is brimming with opportunities for growth, for connection, for experiencing the sheer joy of living a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling. But those opportunities rarely come knocking on the door of our comfort zones. They require us to step outside, to embrace the unknown, to dare to write our own narratives with bold strokes and unwavering belief in our own potential. As we conclude this exploration of daring to leap, let us raise a toast, not to the absence of fear, but to the courage to move forward in spite of it. Let us celebrate those who have inspired us with their willingness to embrace the unknown, to challenge the status quo, and to live lives that are both extraordinary and authentic. To the ones who have stumbled, fallen, and risen again, stronger and wiser for the experience. To those who have faced their fears head-on, transforming doubt into determination and hesitation into action. And to all of us who, in our own unique ways, are choosing to embrace the unknown, to step outside our comfort zones, and to live lives that are a testament to the boundless possibilities that unfold when we dare to leap. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step today. Embrace the unknown, celebrate the stumbles, and never ever stop writing your own extraordinary story. Cheers to the daring, to the dreamers, and to the ones who are brave enough to leap.